So thank you again for everybody who is joining us or watching the recording, however you chose to see this. If you don't know, my name is Courtney Luce. I'm the Director of Customer Success over at Donaid. You probably see my face a lot, but here I am again hosting, at least today. Our main speaker for the day is our own CEO and founder, Steve Roseman. So he's going to be talking a lot about how we perceive the difference between a sponsor and a partner. If you caught our webinar yesterday, we talked a lot about corporate engagement. And be sure to check that out if you haven't. But this is actually a topic that comes up just internally in our office a lot. I think it's both Steve and I is probably one of our most passionate things to talk about is how nonprofits relate to their partners. So I'm excited that we're finally getting this out into the world and talking about it a little bit more publicly instead of just having some internal conversations. But yeah, so very excited. Again, if you're just joining us, please chat who you are, where you're from, but also chat any questions that you have throughout the webinar. I will do my best to answer them in real time, but if we don't get to them in real time, we will answer them at the end. Steve has already said that we have some questions that have previously come in that we'll get to at the end. But again, please feel free to ask. Also at the end, you have the ability to unmute yourself and show your face. So if you are brave, you are able to ask a question that way as well. We just ask, don't do that until the end.
Right.
That is all I have. So without further ado, I'll let Steve take it away.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Courtney. So I just wanted to jump in by stating that or talking about. So this is a topic that I've been talking about for years with nonprofits and any organization that I've worked with, not even on a consulting standpoint. Many of you know that, we do charity auctions as another company that, I founded. We've been doing events since 2012. So, and a part of this and a part of our service is helping those nonprofits during their events. And this is where this topic really came about, right? What is a corporate sponsor versus a corporate partner? And when and how do you engage in that moment? So just a quick, I don't know if you call this a story. So in early 2020, I don't know if you were aware, but right about the time of March, this thing called COVID hit our world. And when that happened, our entire world shut down from an event standpoint and people getting together. So what ended up happening, as you might know, sponsors didn't sponsor because there was no event to sponsor. I had many, many conversations around this topic. Unfortunately, it was the negative side of this topic. Charities losing money, not being able to fulfill their missions the way that they traditionally do. That is why this topic is so important. And that is why for years, I've been advising organizations to try to identify that the world that we've lived in for many, many years of going out, because this is, if we're talking about events, right, or serving your mission, it's create a strategy, identify the cost, go get sponsors to cover the cost, then everything that are moving forward is gravy in that activity. Which is fine. That's how I started out my nonprofit career because I didn't understand the value of a partner or even understand what a corporate partner was compared to a sponsor. So I want to go down that real quick and let me take a step back and identify or explain what I mean by a corporate sponsorship and a corporate partnership. So sponsors to me are for activities. So you go, you have one activity, maybe two. That activity can be an event. That activity can be a very specific mission you're trying to engage with, and you ask them to sponsor that. A corporate partner is somebody who that you're going after, you're talking to support your overall mission. It is not about any one event, not about any one activity. It's about they care about what you do as an organization, and they want to support the overall mission. So hopefully we're clear on that. because that dictates everything that I talk about moving forward. So that being said, my goal is to make this easy for you when you're making the decision, partner versus sponsor. This is the way I would evaluate it. And FYI, the Donate Foundation will be launching here in a couple of weeks. So right now, everything I'm talking about, I'm in the process of doing myself again. It's been many, many years. Let's see, it was since 2018, where I've actively solicited sponsors in this way and corporate partners in this way. So my strategy to identify, am I going after a sponsor or a corporate partner, is one simple question. Am I going to ask this company to do what I'm asking again next year? If the answer is yes, for me, then I look at this as, okay, I don't want to talk to them about a sponsorship. I want to talk to them about a corporate partnership. Why? Because I don't want to have to ask them again next year. Because it's a lot easier knowing that they're going to be involved again next year. A sponsorship, if I'm doing a quick one-off activity, or I don't have a relationship with them yet, or understand what they care about yet, I'll probably go in as a sponsorship, try to develop that relationship and turn it into a corporate partnership. And it really comes down to, we all know, it's like donors, right? It's about creating a relationship with a donor versus, I don't know, having a one-off scenario where you don't know if they're ever going to donate again. So that's really how I go about it. And I look at the pros and cons, right? So if we look at the pros and cons of, say, a sponsorship. So the pro of going for a sponsorship, I think we all know, right? Very clear. We are doing this event on this date. Here's the demographic. It's typically a lower price point. So that makes it easier, faster to be able to achieve that. The cons of a sponsorship goes back to what I talked about with COVID. Because one thing I will talk about that many people never want to talk about is the return on investment. And I'll talk about that later because somebody actually, sent in a question talking about return on investment or ROI. If you have a sponsorship that comes in for an event, right? So there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Your event gets canceled. Now what do? If it's far out enough, odds are that sponsor is not going to write that check because you cancel the event. Most don't ask for the money back, but then you have to figure out how you're going to give them value in other areas. So the event gets canceled. Your expectations that you sold them don't get achieved. So say it was unfortunately a poor event that didn't achieve all the goals. Wrong demographic. That's another con. Let's see here. I wrote down, poor. Yeah, those are most of the cons that I wrote down. We can talk about, more later, but I don't believe that the pros outweigh the cons. So you're talking about, the con was, it's a less dollar amount. So yes, it's the pro is fast, lower dollar amount. If that's what you're looking for. The con, if you need more money, that's the con there. On the partnership side, I'm going to start with cons first because I can really only identify one con of trying to go after a partnership versus a sponsorship. And really it takes longer for the sales cycle. And that's really it. The pros to a sponsorship though, and I want to make sure that, I wrote 5 core. So more opportunity to help give them a return on their investment. More involvement, not only from a sponsorship standpoint, but now you have a lot more opportunity to engage that partnership. So you might be an organization that has 4 or 5 events throughout the year. Well, now you have 4 or 5 different opportunities to engage with that company, because whether you understand this or not, or believe it or not everybody loves going to galas. Not everybody loves going to walks or bikes or runs. the beauty here is if you create if you have all those types of events and you have a partnership, so you might get one group that comes for the gala. You might get one group that comes for the walk, one group that comes for the bike. So now you're attracting more throughout that partnership and developing that relationship. Planning. Now you don't have to worry about the dollar amounts. You know that if you have this partnership at, I don't know, let's say $10,000 or $20,000, that you can allocate those resources accordingly. So you're not always asking for money year in and year out. Turning that corporate partnership into an ambassador situation. So if I'm a corporate partner, I've come to 4 of your events this year, all of them were stellar, or maybe not all of them, say 1 out of the 3 wasn't awesome. But you and I started to develop a relationship. Now I'm going to become an ambassador, right? And that doesn't mean I'm talking to my friends and family necessarily, but if I'm the individual, I'm your connection to that corporate partner. Now I'm going to share it with all the employees. Now I'm going to share it with my colleagues. I might even tell other companies how great the relationship is. That's the best advocacy and ambassador you can have. The creme de la creme is I do now start talking to my friends and family because you have earned that much trust that I'm willing to bring those people to the table. That's only going to happen in a corporate partnership. Rarely is that going to happen in a sponsorship because the intimacy is just not there. And the new supporters, I think I already covered that. The big thing for me and why I promote corporate partnerships so much is it's like having, if you equate it to a traditional business, having some really great clients that have long-term agreements. So with WeDo, for example, it is very common for a nonprofit to sign a 2 or 3 year relationship. The reason being is it allows both parties to plan so that they both get the best outcome. When I know that a certain charity has a 3-year relationship with us, my plan is different, right? So I'm identifying what they're doing in year 1, how I can configure, and how we can start planning as a team to fix that in year 2. Well, if we're just having a relationship in a 1-year scenario, I don't know if they're even going to be back. So doing all that planning, why would I wouldn't do that. I would wait to find out. Odds are I forgot a bunch of stuff. And so you got to start over and over again. The other side is the more or the longer relationship that you have, it's just going to continue to grow. Then maybe one day you are the nonprofit that company puts their flag behind. Yes, they support these other 5, but you're their staple. How many of us know companies like that they support a bunch, but they still have their go-to? Only in a corporate partnership is that going to happen. So just a few tips, because I just wanted to touch on those. It's not rocket science on, what the big differences are. One's a short-term relationship. One, you're going in for the long haul. The long haul, we all know, is more valuable than the short term. So if you're going short-term sponsorship, and it's a good one, try to turn it into a corporate partnership. So some tips, though, that is really important. If I was going into a corporate partnership, because that's what I want to talk about. If I'm going to talk to a company with the agenda of going in for a partnership, I want to share my goals. I'm going to share some successes we've had in the past, but I'm going to share the goals that we have this year. I'm going to map them out. I'm also going to explain how I'm going to execute upon those. Once I do that, I'm going to ask for at least a 1 to 3 year commitment with the understanding of here's the baseline of what they'll get from us, asking them what intrigues them to even partner with us. So that way I can add to what we already have a baseline, right? Because we don't want to commit to something that we can't achieve. Like if I said, hey, Red Gold, we're going to promote you every single week on social media. We don't have that capability. Why? Because we already have so many other partners and entities that we work with that it would flood and they wouldn't even get the recognition. So we want to identify where the win-win is. Once we do that, I'm going to let them know. And at this date, I'm going to come back to the table and I'm going to share everything that we did, whether it's a win or a loss. And anybody who's ever heard me talk about this topic, I always talk about this because your best supporters don't expect that you're going to hit every single goal that you set out to reach. The beauty is if you share with them also why you did not achieve certain goals. Because it could be as simple as you're talking to a certain, well, let's think about it this way. I'll use a food bank as an example. If I'm a food bank and I'm talking about we did not achieve the amount of meals that we wanted to deliver to families, and because we ran out of XYZ food. Well, that corporate partnership might have a relationship with a food company that would say, oh, well, I didn't know you needed that. Let me make a phone call. That's not going to happen this year. So not only are we going to keep supporting you, but I'm going to make a phone call on your behalf, ambassador, to be able to hit that goal this next year. So being able to share the wins and the losses and the whys, those are huge when you go in from a mindset, because most people don't do that. But if you set the stage that way, they're going to respect, and that's a real partnership. Asking for the 2 to 3 year commitment. Another thing is sometimes we get so focused on needing revenue and fundraising dollars to come in that we forget to focus on who we're talking to. And what I mean by that is try to align your mission with their company. So, and this is what I mean. If, I don't know, if you're focused on dogs, like a dog rescue facility, right? And you randomly reach out to Salesforce. What does that have to even do with your organization? Now, there could be a lot. If you did your research, there might be a play there, but their product and your product do not directly align. So if I was going out, and this is what I'm about to do, when I take the Donate Foundation mission that's around mental health, I'm first going to target companies that focus on mental health. Why? Because we already have something to talk about that we are on the same page. From there, then I go based on the programs that I have. So one of the programs is a physical fitness program. So then I'm going to take it to trainers and gyms and those types of entities. The hot yoga room. Another aspect is faith-based peer groups. Okay, maybe I'm going to talk to some churches. Why? Because it connects on a personal level with their mission already. So that's what I would do, focus number one. But I do want to talk about, we got asked this, 2 more tips here. Ask them to get involved. I know that sounds silly, but so many organizations will create a partnership or a relationship and then never actually ask for them to do things. There's that expectation, they saw what we were doing. Are you sure? Did you ask? Some people just want to be asked. So they know that there's a two-way street here. The other is go to their stuff, support their stuff. I talked about this early, especially with We Do and Donate with some fundraising. COVID was a perfect opportunity for nonprofits to share their love for the restaurants that have been donating to them for years. They needed your support. So it's going to them saying, listen, this year we're not going to ask for a donation, but is there any way that you might be able to sell a $100 gift card for $50? So maybe they make a percentage, you get something to give to your supporters, everybody wins. It's shooting spotlights and it's shooting promotional pieces out talking about all the people that have supported you in the past. This is called a partnership. We all know one-sided relationships never work. And it is very easy for us in the nonprofit world to be running so hard that we forget to take a moment to recognize those people who have supported us. Because at one point, you will have to have the conversation. If you've shown love to them, the great thing about a partnership is you have an entire year to do that, where a sponsorship, small window. If you can show them what you've done for them, it's a much easier ask. Many times you won't even have to ask. So those are just a few tips. As I mentioned, I'm in the process of starting that myself. I'm creating a fundraising deck currently. So what I'll do for anybody on the call today is I'll actually, once I'm done with my own, I'll share it with you. I don't care if you take it, borrow it, do whatever you want. I'm sure you can see a bunch of them out there, but I'll share mine with you as well. I do want to answer a few questions before I take any questions from anybody on the call here. So the first is, do businesses really care about return on investment? My answer, 100% absolutely yes. Are there companies out there that, out of the kindness of their heart, they have the ability to do that without needing to worry about the ROI? Yes. Small few. Understand, businesses need money. Every action they take, especially if they have investors, are based on the return of that action. Nobody wants to talk about this topic, but think about it this way. Have you ever seen a company take a picture with a big old check? And I can phrase that in two ways. One, physically a big check. The other, the dollar amount. Why do they even need to do that? Because I can tell you there's a lot of people out there that would never do that because they don't need the recognition. They may take a picture with a little baby check that nobody knows. They just, they're just showing that they're doing a good action. It's because that creates good PR for that company. If their name is in the headline, it creates PR. PR makes them look good. When they look good, they look better to their investors. They look better as a brand. They look better to their own clients. So yes, return on investment is there. If I owned an apparel company and you came to me and all I did was sell, I don't know, football jerseys, and you're a women's yoga studio, a nonprofit women's whatever, I don't see where the alignment is. Maybe if women, it was an event that was planned for men, but the alignment's not there. Maybe you caught me at a good time. You can get a sponsorship because we just had extra money. Odds are I'm going to focus my attention on men-based organizations. So that is one tip. Focus on the proper demographic when it comes to return on investment. What was the other question here? We have two more. How do I use Donate to build corporate partnerships? So Courtney talked about this. If you weren't on yesterday, Courtney talked about this. The main things that my takeaways on how to use Donate in this scenario is one, show by the examples of your wins. I just changed. Show by the examples of your wins. And what I mean by that is we have a storyboard, we have milestones, we have missions accomplished. Show not only your wins, but also show you promoting other corporate partners and sponsors along in that process. Because when you're talking to somebody at any given time, you might have a random conversation. Say we meet at a coffee shop and you could instantly show me, oh, this isn't a quick example of what we do for our partners. That is perfect. It's pre-planning. Also, it's just going to help on your donate page there. Show your proof by your milestones and missions accomplished. And once again, invite them to engage with you on Donate because it's just easy. The last question we had, how do I connect with a tech company? I'm assuming that question is like white collar, the tech is becoming bigger and they're not out and about. I can attest to that. One of the things I've noticed, a lot of companies that support actively tend to be construction companies and more blue collar style companies. My recommendation is research the company. So if we're talking about like Salesforce, for example, I'd first research the company, see if you can find out, because if it's tech, where's that alignment, right? So first research the company, see if they've put their flag in something. Try to identify their top C-level people. Maybe you can research them, see what they care about. If you can identify that on their social media channels, and then trickle down from there. Figure out who those people are. One thing that I know across the board, there is not a developer I have met yet that's not a gamer. So if you're an organization, and I know that's becoming popular, throwing an event that it's a gaming fundraising style fundraiser, that makes sense. That's the strategy. It's not kickball, it's gaming. Then I would go there because you'll align with the interest of the people who traditionally work at that company. So that's why you can go to a company like Cat, who does machinery, and you talk about a softball beer game that's going to happen. Okay, that's perfect fit. That's a stereotype, sorry, but I happen to know a bunch of people that work at that company, and it's a perfect fit. So that's how I would look at it. If I'm going after tech and they have 2,000 employees, you really have to figure out what those employees care about. Because if you can get a pocket of them to first come, maybe you don't even get Salesforce, right? You just get 5 of those individuals to come. They love your event. They're going to talk about it internally, and maybe they can be an advocate on your behalf to get to the person to eventually develop that relationship there. Hopefully you got something out of that. Those were the key points that I wanted to target. Once again, for me, partnerships are key. If you talk to any company, it doesn't matter, nonprofit or for-profit, partnerships are vital, because not only are you developing a great relationship with that individual, that entity, but typically a good relationship is long-term. And we all know if we're going to serve our mission, we need both long-term and short-term, when really short-term is just designed to turn in long-term. But not everybody's going to love what we do, but that should be the goal. Does anybody have any questions before we jump off? I know it's 11:28 and we like to stay within the 20 and 30 minute time frame. So feel free to, there are some chats in here. What is that? That's people saying hi. Well, there you go. All right. Well, hello to everybody as well. What's Life Smart Youth, Angela? If you're okay with sharing. Do you know you're on mute? I can't see your face, so I can't see if you're actually talking.
She may be typing too. So.
Oh, I don't know. All right, well, we might just have to do a little research, but I appreciate everybody being on the phone, or I always say that, the computer. We'll make sure that I believe this was recorded, and we'll get that out, and then be on the lookout for a PDF. Once I'm done with that partnership deck, I'll shoot it out so you have an example, duplicate it, make it your own, and create some relationships out there. So I appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody.